Yeah, maybe. We haven't told anybody we're doing it, so let me throw this up real quick. Excuse me. Anybody listening? Oh, his 30-mile-an-hour drive home because the cop was in front of us the whole way. Yeah, good. Yeah, just like my my Blood Mountain pass. Hey, what's up, Thomas West? How we doing, brother? Just getting this happening now. Done. Put a little can kind of read that. Close enough. Just put a little story up. We took the new girl to the track today. To the Ridge, to our track, and celebrating a successful track day with a little bit of leftovers from Smokies, which is delicious, and it will disappear. Hey, what's up, Dr. Green? Yo, yo, yo. We can talk about 997 stuff if you like. Here, real quick. We'll wait for a couple other folks to show up and come on in, and I'll give you guys a lowdown on the 3RS at our local track. So let me throw this in the track chat. Friday on YouTube happening now. Oh, right on. Wasting time at work, out in traffic. I'm glad I can entertain all of y'all. Don't do like I do. So, Mr. Green, for those of you that don't know, had an unfortunate Harley in his lane at Smokies and now needs a new car. So we've been talking about what would be a good replacement for a spicy 981 GT4 manual. And it's got a lot of choices. 718 GT4 manual is nice. Comes with a little extra power, a little bit more modern. He could also go backwards, get a Metzger 997.1. Ha! Look at my producer trolling me on our own channel. Asshole. Perfect. Get the leak down done. It's got 50,000 miles. So the car, catching everybody up, the car that Justin's looking at, it's a 997.1 GT3. Looks like it has an RS deck lid on it already, an RS wing. They painted the wing white. That's a little weird, but that's fine. It's probably because it's not pretty carbon. It'll work the same. We love 997s. Absolutely love them to death. They're great cars. Chassis dynamics are fantastic. They're nice and tight and tidy. The only thing that I will say is we've got a lot of local guys that are having trouble getting parts for Metzgers. And this has been an ongoing issue. Will likely continue to be an ongoing issue. And things like head gaskets you can't get. There was a 9-month wait for head gaskets from Porsche. The Metzgers are getting less and less supported because we're now 10 years in to GT3s having DGG engines or DI engines in them. And so Porsche cost cutting, they're going to see less and less of the Metzger GT3 genre out in the world. That said, the 997.1 is the more robust of the two. 996 GT3 I'd throw in that grouping as well, mainly because it does not have variable exhaust cam timing. And through variable exhaust cam timing, you end up with some resonance stuff that can be non-ideal. What's up, Larry Beck? Larry, Justin, Thomas West, Thomas, Larry. You guys have seen each other on here a number of times at this point. Gearboxes. are another Achilles heel of those cars. They come with brass synchros, and as the synchros wear, they're nice and soft, so you can kind of not have it still feels like it's going into gear easily, even if you don't rev match it exactly right. It's like click clack click clack, and it uses Mobil 1 Delvac as a transmission fluid, which is non-ideal. Oh, thank you, sir. Robert just brought me my iPad from being at the track today, so I can look at some track laps. So if you factor in needing to get the transmission rebuilt when you buy a Metzger, and potentially, what's in the glass? It's called Blood Oath, Mr. Doran. It is a sherry cask, aged, I think this is 7-year, from a friend in the South. We were just in Smokey's GT3. Smokey's GT. There we go. This is from our new friend Adam through our long-standing friendship with Seth. Adam knows Seth. Now we know Adam. Adam is Seth's whiskey dealer. He is a literal collector. He showed me the shelves. He looks like a liquor store, but it's his own personal collection, which is rad. So now whenever I want to try something new, I just call Adam. Hey, what you got? That's cool. Send me some. Here's some money. Thank you. So, Mr. Doran, if you are a partaker of the brown liquor, bourbon, rye, American stuff, I know you're English, so you might be into the British Isle type stuff, you know, the Speyside and the Isla and the other genres of Scotch and whatnot. But if you're into American stuff, let me know. We can get a couple bottles and do some taste tests and share it. One of my favorite things to do. This is quite delicious, by the way. So getting back to 997.1 GT3, if you can get past the, I'll say, very high entry prices now because they are on the rise, and you can factor in that you may have some significant maintenance when you first get it to get it up to snuff, then oh brother, you have to stop by, Mark. Come on up here and I'll bring a couple bottles from home and we can get you past the peated Angel's Envy stuff. But get back to Justin's question. Yes, there are many options other than Delvac. When Charles was working at an independent Porsche dealer or Porsche shop, he called the transmissions that came in with synchro wear and fork damage and all these things the Delvac special. And so he would know with just like putting it into gear once that trans was fucked and needed to be dealt with quickly. We use Amsoil Severe Gear. It's very good. Charles has been using it for a long time. Heavily tracked cars, and the transmissions stay pristine. So, steel synchros from Porsche Motorsports. Send it to somebody that is good. You can send it to Bill Rader. You can send it to whatever the hell his name is in Ohio. I always forget him, but there's a number of really great Porsche transmission shops that'll get it done right, get it knocked out. You won't have any problems with it after that. Depending on the severity of the damage, you may consider a regear. If you need a regear, then I would look up our friends Brandon at No Politics Racing. They are making gears that are out of sight, diffs that are fantastic for this car, very high quality stuff, not inexpensive, but not anything you're going to have to do again in the time that you're going to own the car or even longer. So, let's see what else. That's 997 stuff. Yeah, Raiders Vegas, but honestly, shipping to Vegas or shipping to Ohio, since you're in like Virginia, Baltimore, DC area, it's kind of all the same. You know, it's not, unless you're in Philly. I mean, it's a little bit different. Compared to the cost of what it's going to cost you to get the work done, the shipping is not the big thing. So, it has a guards diff. I'm sorry about that, but fantastic. You can get the parts that you need either from guards or from Motorsports. They use the ramps and clutches and such for that. So that's what Mr. Green is dealing with. Sounds like he's getting ready to pull the trigger on a 997, which is fantastic. Do we have a picture of the 458? I'll talk about that briefly. So I listed my 458 for sale because a couple of the local prospects within the track chat, one of them's just getting married. So probably not great to drop $250,000 on a car when you're just getting married and you've got a big wedding and all that bit. So I get it. Novin, no problem. And then another gentleman, there's probably some in 458 development. Otherwise they're on Instagram. There you go. That'll work. You can use that one. I'll get back to that, Mr. West. Yeah, Justin, I'm going to talk about that. So, yes, I did just get the 458, I got it last August, and I proceeded in the way that I do, making it better, and it is better. I mean, it's looks, a stock 458 looks a bit like a monster truck, because for U.S. regulations, they put them up super high, and then they kind of look dumb, in my opinion. They also come hamstrung with 235 front tires and 295 rear tires. We got some lag here, bro. Okay. Just lag on my end. So the first thing I had to do was fix all of that. So got some BBS LMs, got some MCS three-ways, a prototype kit from Wyatt. This is something they don't have. They have them on challenge cars. They don't have them on street cars. So yeah, I know it has been that long. It hasn't been 2 months that I've had it. It's been like almost 10. But still, that's kind of short because this was one of my Halo cars, right? It's like beautiful. Can I lease the 458? Well, that's an interesting question. I've not thought about being a leasing agent, but yeah, I'd be into that potentially. I don't know how to do it, but suppose it's the same thing as giving somebody a note in that regard. But anywho, so got the car all done. It's awesome. Baby sits in the corner. And it bugs me because this car is too gorgeous to just sit in the shop and not get any love, honestly. I've got an RS6 that I use as a daily. I've got the 992-3RS that we take to the track and we do all that. I don't really honestly have time to go out on pleasure drives on the weekends. You know, I'm doing chores because I'm running a business, blah, 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 blah. I go out for bike rides. That's when I ride my bike, is on the weekend. I should ride it more during the week. But I'm kind of sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, this car is literally just sitting here and it should be in the hands of somebody that's going to drive it because it's gorgeous. It should be something that is coveted because they have it. And we have too many projects that occupy my brain space. We've got Pumpkin that we need to finish up. Those of you who've been watchers for a while, you know what I'm talking about. We've got a bunch of stuff going on with that. We've got Cup Club Sport that I could probably sell a couple of them if we can get them across the line this year. I mean, we'll probably sell some regardless when we get them across the line, but I'd love to get some across the line sooner than later. And having the 458 here, it makes me feel guilty because I see it in the shop not being run, right? And that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it. It's a great car. I've done a lot of really cool shit to it. Like I did the sticky RX. This is a thing for Ferraris. You guys have heard me talk about this before. The buttons in them get sticky because Ferrari didn't make them right the first time. So $7,000 later, you send all the switches out and get them stripped and repainted and re-laser marked with, you know, all of the stuff on it. So yeah, there's that. It's got carbon dash trim. It's got a carbon steering wheel. It's got BBS LMs, MCS three-ways. I mean, the car's fucking gorgeous. So I listed it. I'll tell you guys a couple stories because some of these are funny. Listed it on a few places. You guys probably seen it if you're on Facebook. Just did that. Right? I mean, it's just sad. I agree, Mark. It's It's an Italian supercar, and they're like literally you would hit them, and it would be like it was coated in bubble gum. It would like you're pulling your finger off of them with like stickiness on it. You're like, the hell, the 5-year-old get in here with candy fingers? This is dumb. This is really dumb. So, get the car listed and have a couple guys. I mean, I got $80,000 in parts. I bought the car for $230,000. I can sell the car for $230,000 stock. That's fine. Don't really want to take a giant haircut on all the parts. Listed the car $265,000 with all the parts. That seems not unreasonable for everything that we've done. I'm got a couple offers for $200,000 cash, and I'm like, you get $200,000 in rocks, $200,000 in bamboo shoots. What? Yeah, of course, cash. What are you going to pay me in? Credit? No, but one guy gave some serious consideration to. And those of you Smokies will get the joke. $16,000 cash and a case of Coors Banquet. I'm like, oh, homie, that's actually creative. I can appreciate that. That's pretty. So we went back and forth a little bit. It's just funny. Maybe one potentially serious inquiry from an existing Porsche customer, gentleman in Texas. He asked me some very specific questions over text, texted me directly to my cell phone about it, not through Facebook. So we'll see. We'll see. It is for sale. It's been a day. I'm not really that worried. It would be nice if it sold because it's not occupying space in the shop that we might need for something else that we're going to work on. But if I don't sell it, I'm not going to lose my house. I'm not going to go hungry, et cetera, et cetera. It's just kind of a thing. So, that's 458 stuff. Let's talk about, since Mark has joined us, this will be very pertinent for him. Let's talk about our track day with the new Lab Rat, the new 3RS. Couple things that we are experimenting with today. One, this is our first time out on our home track, which is great. I am a pussy, but that's not a big surprise. Anybody knows how I drive. Ted was about 20 miles an hour faster than I was at the crest of turn 10, which is fine. I have a very large self-protection mechanism, just breathing off the throttle a little bit. He's a professional race car driver, and he too has a large self-protection mechanism. His bandwidth for sensing car input and what needs to be done is much more refined than mine is. So that's fine. I did a 143.8 in the car. I was out in 2 sessions. I did that in the morning. This is the interesting question, Mark. So we were experimenting with, as Mark is alluding to, we're experimenting with tire pressure today because in the manual, it says 27, 29 hot is the recommended tire pressures. These seem absurdly low to me with all the years that we've been doing track work. I know these tires are like specifically made for this car at much higher load ratings than other tires. That still feels really, really low. So Ted goes out for a session. We bleed him down. And car sits for 45 minutes. I go out and the front tire is at 23 PSI for a solid 3 laps, a warm up. And I'm like, this is dumb. I'm just expecting, a bead to unseat, this kind of stuff because the tire's so low PSI. I'm just not used to running at a racetrack with 23 PSI tires cold and then trying to get some temperature and it taking so long. Because honestly, the Goodyears, they feel really good and they don't pick up a lot of pressure over a 20-minute or 30-minute session. We found this at Road Atlanta. They're pretty stable. So, 100%, Mark. Yeah. So what Mark's saying is all the downforce. I mean, the car produces 12, 13, 1400. I forget what the number is. It's a lot at terminal velocity with everything turned up. So it's significant. Car weighs 3,000 pounds. So you add 1,000 pounds of downforce on top of that dynamically and G loads, 2 Gs on the outside, tires, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty awesome. But the sidewalls have to be a lot stiffer, a lot stiffer than a Cup 2, because a Cup 2 would literally delaminate. You would peel the tread off of the tire in a few laps if you did that, ran them that low. So it's difficult to say if the car had more grip at 27, 29, because these tires, I wouldn't call them shagged, but they weren't fresh, because we had Lee Keen on these tires, we had Seth on these tires, we had Ted on these tires, we had Kirk on these tires, all at Road Atlanta. We had me on these tires across 2 days. So we had first day we're not on these tires. We switched these out for the second day. And then the Ridge today. So yeah, I don't think it's going to roll over. The car didn't feel bad. It was just in my head is really what it was more about. Ted didn't feel it at all. He's like, Jamie, that's just in your head. You just need to get over it. It's fine. So me being an engineer, it's hard to get over shit unless somebody gives me some data to show me. So, yeah, I think we have to normalize the same usage to compare. Agreed. I think that's really what's going on. So all that said, Ted went out and did a 140.4, and he did them like the first session he went out, he did one. We were at an HOD day, so I'd say the lap times in the advanced group at a Hooked on Driving day are a little bit different than, say, a PCA advanced day or at one of our private days with all our homies. So there was some speed disparity, had some rolling chicanes you had to get around. Everybody was cool. They were great. Got point buys. It's really kind of fun. Let Ted go out in the first session and go 140, and then I take it out the second session. Everybody gets the fuck out the way. Even if they're faster than me, they're trying to point me by. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm good right here. I don't need to be in front. I'm good. But it was pretty fun. Shout out to Todd, the session, Todd Panic, in our track group. He was there today, and we had a great time. He was my toe. He was the rabbit. I'm much faster following somebody than I am leading them, just because that's kind of how my brain is. But that was super fun. 143s, kind of bobbing and weaving in around traffic, all that bit. Watching him manage the car through turn 6 as the tires are getting a little hot, and he's oversteer, correction, oversteer, correction, oversteer, correction. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I led for a minute, and he's like, I really love it when you hit the brakes and it goes Dundon. You know, it's like pop, because we got Dundon on the flap. So it's like nothing, Dundon as you're stopping. Justin had a funny idea. We should have hit the brake exclamation point on there, so when it pops up, people know that you're really on the brakes, or not quite on the brakes, but off the throttle, and the car's really going to slow down and in their face. So we experimented with the diff, because as the front tires were starting to heat cycle and give up a little bit, car developed a teeny tiny bit of a push in Ted's hands, not so much in mine, on corner exit. And pretty much, don't hit me. Yeah, that'd be another good one. Slow down. Speed brake, air brake, something like that. So Ted was out, and we started experimenting with the diff on power to see if we can open it up a little bit, because there's some corners at the Ridge that having a slightly more open diff when you're trying to get on power will help with getting to throttle earlier. You won't have to kind of manage it, like exit of 6 would be one. 13 is another one, or not 13. Is that right? 10, 11, 12. I always do that. 13 goes down the hill. 12 is the kind of off camber right that I always fuck up. So for the local track group, and probably for next Whiskey Friday, we'll get some comparison laps together so you guys can see it. The next session, Ted went out. He actually had some clear track, and he went 140.4, 140.4, 140.4 as the way Ted does. You know, he's like a super driver robot, can go out and just like duplicate it. But it's always slightly differently. The one comment that he had, which I think is pertinent, this car is so different from the other cars that you will have to drive it differently at the Ridge as you optimize your line for what the car's capable of doing. And he actually gave me some pointers. He's like, for 12 in this car, you can either, there's a lot of ways to dissect that corner, and you don't need all of the entry and you don't need all of the exit to do it. If you take all the entry, you're not going to use all the exit. If you don't take all the entry, you might use all of the exit. So it's more about how this car, how you can attack the track in this car versus the other cars that we've done. What's really cool, and this is a thank you very much, pat ourselves on the back. Ted went as fast in our GT3RS Lab Rat full build as he did in the new Lab Rat. Fresh tires, he probably gets a 139. Quite honestly, he hit traffic in the 4RS that prevented him from getting a 139 when we went out and testing it. So I think goes to show that we can take whatever car you are driving now and give it the new 3RS levels of performance or better, depending, because I went 142 in the 4RS. I only got 143 today. So I had traffic in my second session. I only got like 145s because I had to, go around people and slow down, be a good track day attendee and not be a bully and an asshole, which is fine. I only play an asshole on TV. I'm really a nice guy. All you guys that know me might know that that's probably not entirely true, but I like to think it is. So 2 really hard track days on the Super Sport Rs. We could probably get another fun day out of it, but it wouldn't be something for lap times. It'd just be fun cruising around. They got plenty of tread left, but not. I would say they're past their fast life. Tires for the 3RS are going to be a thing as we develop it. Charles went and did some. He has a connection with Yokohama, and we may, towards the fall, look at putting AD05s on it. Because there's a couple sizes on 19-inch wheels that we could make fit on the car with the right rolling diameter or pretty close. But it continues to beg the question, and this is what Justin's getting at. At what point does going faster in that car mean less than being able to explore the envelope of the car that it, as it sits or as it exists, as a pro can drive it more comfortably? We, Ted and I both expressed the same thing. We're very excited for when we get MCS on the car because it's going to make the car better. It's going to make the car more docile. It's going to make the car react less violently isn't quite the right word, but you guys know what I'm saying. It'll make it react a little less quickly to perturbations in the surface, or curbs, that kind of thing. The MCS has more blow off. It's a motorsports damper, has more high speed stuff that we can do with, and we've got some pretty trick stuff that we're going to start once our friend Daniel from Calibrated Performance is back here in the States. We're going to do some CAN bus logging. Mark, we might hit you up as well. We need to know what the dampers are doing and what the car is telling them to do. So there's one question that I still have about this car is most PASM equipped cars, the dampers are active all the time, meaning that when you're under braking, they're going to stiffen up the front shocks. They're going to increase rebound in the rear shocks, try and keep the car stable. This is why a DSC box for some platforms can be transformative, can be nice. And yeah, Justin, that's exactly it. I mean, I was not to incriminate myself, my lawyer or my lawyer friend is tuning in, so I'll be careful what I say next. But yes, a very fast, capable car can make you, to get the feeling of speed in a car on a public roadway in the mountains, can require substantially more speed than is legal. And that's not something that I know with myself. It's something I heard from a friend of mine. PASM is on off. So PASM is active because the DSC controller does not make it magically active. The sport mode or non-sport is the different programs that the car will use. So the question for the 3RS, and you did sleep at the Holiday Inn last night, so the 3RS, it's a question because I'm pretty sure in normal mode, PASM is active, right? Porsche Active Suspension Management, PASM. But I don't know if when you can turn the knobbies on it and configure the compression and the rebound, if it's still active or if it's now static. So it's a question. We'll have to do a little bit of investigation and understand it. Either way, the dampers that are on the 3RS are still street car, passenger car dampers. And the range in which you can switch them is still pretty narrow. Otherwise, you could make the car maniacal by changing them, and Porsche wouldn't allow that, right? They're not going to give you that much ability to make a change so that you can make the car maniacal as you're kind of going around. So that's a general update on 3RS. Super fun, super capable. It's not flawless, but it's damn close. It's the best car that I've ever driven stock from Porsche. Honestly, it's very, very good. Very, very good. Very confidence inspiring. It will do everything you ask of it as long as your balls are big enough to ask. So, and Ted taking literally a car with an exhaust and a plenum, some extra horsepower, and just 140.4 on a slightly, heat cycle tires, that's saying something. I think by the time we're done, that car does high 138s, low 139s with not a lot of other stuff done to it. We were going to try and take tire temps today to make sure the alignment that we had is close, and we did, but we took them after kind of a half a cool down lap. It wasn't ideal. So we need hour days to be able to do that kind of stuff effectively. Our days, we have our own track days, which are open and open track, which means you go out, you come in, you go out and come in as you want to. So doing it in 20-minute run groups, and halfway through a session, you got enough heat in the tires to come in and take temps. Gets a little tricky because you can't go out and do it again and then come in and verify it and do it again and verify it again to make sure that it's truly real at that point. Let's give all the GT4 and 4RS guys an update. We have verified fitment on our rear tie rods, and this has been something that we were doing since since our 4RS development. And what differentiates these specific tie rods is how compact the attachment to the knuckle is, so that you have room to run a very wide rear wheel and a 325 series rear tire. This is something that we wanted to do. One of the complaints that Ted had when he was at Thunder Hill with the 4RS was a little bit more rear tire would have been nice, because the ass end was getting a little squirrely as he tried to get back on throttle. So Charles, being who he is, he gets his micrometer out and his 3D scanner out, and we start doing some math, and we figure it out. And we were able to borrow a a GT4 from our friend Robin, local track group, that was over at Spec German getting an alignment. And we're able to test fitment, get some things dialed. We had 5 of these on order currently. They all shipped today, which is fantastic. Can you show the picture to clearance of our part to the 11.5-inch wheel in the rear? Yes, sir. It works for the GT4 as well. We didn't leave you out. We didn't leave you out. Just the wheel with our... Let me see which one. I think so, yes. Yeah, that's our Heim and bolt package. Yes, that's it. There we go. So you can see how nice and tidy and tight it is to the knuckle. So you've got lots of room for an 11.5-inch wheel. You could probably even do a 12-inch wheel if you wanted to. That'd be pushing it, but you could potentially do that. 11.5 is plenty for a 325. All of this said, this is not the only thing required to put them 981 as well. It'll fit on 981 as well. This is not the only thing required to do this. You have to run an MCS damper. So Larry already has this. And you need our upper top hat for the MCS damper so that it moves the spring and the damper inboard for that 11.5-inch wheel. Will it barely clear on a stock damper? The wheel does. The wheel with a 325 tire on it does not. So that's why we're saying we got to get the whole package. This is a whole rabbit hole for you Cayman guys that want the biggest, fattest rubber on the rear of the car. This is a whole thing. You know, one thing steps to the next thing, steps to the next thing, unfortunately. But this is the solution set to help make it happen. These have started shipping. We have the longest amount of adjustment range on our rear tie rod. So you can run it on a completely stock car. You can run it on an MCS car. You can run it on a number of different applications, 981, 718, 4RS, et cetera, et cetera. Club Sport. It's tighter than the Motorsports part, so you gain more clearance. And we tested it against other current rear tie rod solutions from the aftermarket because the car came with it. So we're like, well, shit, let's put that one back on and throw the wheel on and see how close it gets. Would completely interfere. It would clear the wheel. It would not clear the wheel weights. We'll say that because it's tight if you do that one. Yeah, that's good. Show that one up there. There you go. So I don't know who would really want to run that. Not me, but that's what a competitive product looks like. And there you go. That's why we do what we do. Our shit is pretty pointy. Does everybody need it for that car? No. But if you want 325s, yes, you do. This is a specific wheel width and wheel offset that we have put together for Forge Line. Mr. John McClellan was the pioneer to help us figure this all out. He has 2 sets of them that are going on his 4RS whenever it gets back to us, and we're super excited to run that car with this big sticky rubber. Supercar 3Rs, 325s on the rear, 265s on the front. Going to be perfect. It'll be very nice. So those are available now. No, that is not all you need to put 325s on the back of your Cayman. If you have questions, we wrote it in the part description. If this is why you're buying them, call us. You need other parts. And maybe to take a Valium when I start explaining all the dollar signs associated with doing this seemingly simple thing. I just want to run fat rear tires. Well, that's cool. That's a great statement, but it's more complicated than that. Pumpkin update. Mr. Thomas West asked for a pumpkin update. We have been trying to get other projects off the list to get back to what is my project, and our project. I mean, it is a Dundon project. It has a lot of things that we're going to do with it once we're ready to go with it. So we have a new firmware for the Magic CAN translator box from our friends at Calibrated Performance. To that should make the car have less CAN collisions. The reason that, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when the last place we got to, this car would drive and then the car would kick the PDK into neutral, seemingly randomly. Well, why it would kick the car into neutral is there were CAN collisions going on. There's too many CAN messages going across the bus, and too many messages. I'll come back to that, Mark. Too many messages going across the bus, and some of the messages would get skipped because in a CAN network there are priority messages and there are lower priority messages, and if the priority messages get swamped with lower priority messages, they can end up not getting to the controller that needs to hear them in the time that it needs to hear them. So they'll kind of time out and be like, I don't know what the hell's going on, so poof, no more drive for you because I haven't been getting the information that I need when I need it. So we have culled the herd in some instances, eliminated some of the messages that are superfluous for a PDK controller, and exactly, saturated bus is no bueno. You don't want to have a bunch of nuisance stuff going around when you only need the pertinent few things. So we pulled some things off the bus. We also have separated some of the buses so that we can get the few controllers that need specific information, the information they need, and the other controllers that just need to be told, yep, car's still running, you're fine, the dashboard, shit like that. They get the messages as they need them. So a little bit of, as Mark's alluding to, a little bit of craft to get the right messages to the right places at the right time. So that's what this is. The next thing would be essentially a horsepower fix, which would be to put yet another higher power chipset in the Magic box, which Daniel already has. We have an early version of it. He has a fancier, more powerful version of it that he believes could also resolve the issue, but we're trying to do it with firmware just to prove out the theory. If and when we get there, we would use the more powerful box because that's what he has all of the PCBs laid out for, is the more powerful chipsets, et cetera, et cetera. We've been doing this since before COVID, so he's had a lot of supply chain shenanigans and PCB supplier shenanigans and on and on and on it goes. So that's the very detailed explanation of what's going on with Pumpkin. If this works, we have all the mechanicals, we got the axles in, we have a number of things in that Pumpkin can make its track day debut after we get some street miles on it, maybe as soon as June. So that would be awesome. And this, again, is part of the reason why I'm selling the 458. Once Pumpkin's back up and running, that's my first love. Sorry, 458. That's the one that got me into all this hot mess. So having it back and running and being able to go to the track and enjoy it, that was the entire intention behind that car. And funnily enough, Open Track will insure it, but they won't insure the 458. So there you go. Getting back to, doesn't the Cayman want more front tire up front, not in back? So what's interesting is we're developing a very pointy Cayman. So it's got our I'll get back to that, Justin. The splitter and the arrow and the MCS gives the Cayman a lot of front grip, We put 265 Supercar 3Rs on there on 19-inch wheels, lots of front grip. When Ted was at Thunder Hill, a lot of the corners, he was having to feather the throttle coming out because he was losing the rear end, even with rear wing and more rebound in the rear to try and hold the rear of the car down so we had more. He's like, honestly, I just need more rubber. So that's what we pursued because Pro Driver says, I need more rubber. You try and give him more rubber. He's not the only one that's been asking. So that's interesting. Typically, mid-engine car, you want to rotate to apex and you want to rotate post-apex. But at apex, car should be relatively neutral. You want it to be like, I can come in a little hot, I can trail brake, I can get the car, with throttle or brake inputs to rotate to apex, and then I can get on throttle and I can come out. That's a TED activity. I've done it a couple times in turn 6. Really liked it. Can't do it all the time, but that's okay. I'm an amateur driver and I run a company and I got other shit in my life that I have to deal with. So I can appreciate how a really subtle brake release gets the car to rotate right in there. And you're like, oh, that's so good. We have a picture of Lee Keene, video of Lee Keene and our 3RS doing this at turn 7 at Road Atlanta. He has the same reaction I do. He got this big ass smile on his face when he felt the car doing exactly what he wanted to with the brake release and getting on the throttle and just like, and the car's just like, wee, yeah, there it goes. Right? It really feels so awesome when you get that right, because you're like, oh, this is what they're talking about. I get it. Doing it all the time under a whole bunch of different requirements, that's a whole different thing. But that's why there's pro drivers and there's the rest of us. Mark has driven club sports, a lot of them, at race pace in endurance racing. So I know exactly what he's talking about. Unfortunately, club sport is a little hamstrung when it comes to tire size. So that's part of the issue with the car. So yeah, Larry's feeling it. So we're probably a little aggressive with our right feet. We don't want to be patient. We want all the horsepowers now, go, because the earlier you get the throttle, the faster you are. At least that's what all the pros tell us. So anyway, talked about pumpkin, talked about 4RS tie rods, we talked about 3RS track day tires and stuff. Justin had a question about so what we're doing with pumpkin 997.1 GT3RS, my first orange car, is we put a 991.2 GT3RS engine in it and a PDK transmission. Yeah, Justin's got a great picture. Oh, nice. No, we didn't. We put some shit in the front. This is his AI steam engine, whatever the fuck that is. I don't even know what that is. It's like, what? Is there a hamster running in that? What the hell, AI? I don't know what kind of engine that is, but I appreciate the attempt. And the reason we're doing it is to demonstrate that there is a path beyond an M96 engine in your 996 or an M97 engine in your 997 or a Metzger engine if you want to take it out, put it on the shelf, and actually gain a lot of horsepower from essentially a stock engine with bolt-ons. I built a 4.2 liter. I built a couple of them. Some of them didn't survive for a number of reasons. But they all kind of cap out around 440, 445, 450 wheel horsepower on our dyno. And that's what a 991.2 GT3 makes bone stock. 445 right out of the gate with nothing on it. We can get them up to 490. So yes, we have it. It is not able to mate up to it without an adapter that we have made, but we have an adapter to put a 991.2 engine in with a 997 trans. Once you get the trans rebuilt, because you're going to want a different set of gearing for a 991.2 power band and 9,000 RPM. So just saying. But yes, so there is a path to improve and or give your 997 some modernity with engines that are available for 30 grand used in the secondary market. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. It is literally $6 million man. And I appreciate that very much Gen X. That very much Gen X reference. Thank you very much. That's pulling it back from my childhood. Thank you very much. So that's the why of Pumpkin. The applications for this, because what we're doing it on is we're doing it all with the stock ECU. So we're doing it with the stock engine controller. We're doing it with the stock PDK controller. And that opens up our Super Squirrel Secret air-cooled project that wouldn't be air-cooled anymore. This allows us to build 997 Cup Club Sports with 991 drivetrains in it, so that we can get you a car that, yeah, that's fine. You can put that up. So everybody can see it. Yes, it is a lot cheaper than doing a 4.1 liter. 4.1 liters, 4.2 liters, 4.0 liters. Generally, you're going to be about $65,000 to $80,000, depending on all the stuff that you need. Sunil needs one. I have one. I made him a really great deal on an engine that has recently been finished, but I have no application for it because I'm going to run a DFI engine in my Metzger. Traditionally Metzger powered car. There we go. SpongeBob is not Gen X approved. Yeah, absolutely. That all happened when we were adults. I was like, what's a SpongeBob? What is this shit? What? There's a squid guy and there's a SpongeBob and there's a, what the fuck? I don't, what, he's a sponge at the bottom of, okay, that's weird. But cool. It was very popular. Good for them. Anyway, that's the why of what we're trying to do. We believe that, given the 997's covetous compactness and tidiness, and the $500,000 992 GT3RS craziness, that this will kind of slot into a nice spot in the market to give guys options. And that, at the end of the day, we didn't do it because of goodwill or goodwill towards men. It's to try and put some money in our pocket, and that's what we're trying to do. So, right? Exact. Boomer. Listen to you, millennial. Calling Gen X boomer is fighting words. Fair enough. All right, y'all. I am late to go get some hamburgers. As you know, Friday is hamburger night. Spent the whole day at the track, so the glass is about empty. Anybody got any last minute questions before we move on? And I go get some hamburgers. Going once. Going twice. You youngin'. Sold. All right, y'all. You have a wonderful weekend. We'll try and hit you next Friday with some more updates and awesomeness before Memorial Day comes to fruition. And our next track outing is on the 30th with our PCA homies. That should be a good day. We'll have some fresh tires, and we will